Hello, I'm your host, Don Robert, and welcome to the Moosewa Lodge Cooking and Recipe Challenge, where our Facebook followers will send in wild game recipes that I'll attempt to cook. The person with the best recipe and the most votes at the end of the season, I'll challenge to a cook-off and a 1-week free hunting, fishing, or vacation here at Moosewa. For more information on Moosewa Lodge, please check out our website at www.moosewa.ca. Like us on Facebook. For more information about today's recipes, please email us at don@unlockthewild.com. Now let's get cooking. Welcome back to the Moosewa Cooking and Recipe Challenge. This week's challenge was brought to you by Christina Deluca and Marisa Dzulums. Their challenge for me this week is cabbage rolls. I've never made them before, so this should be interesting. For this recipe, what you're going to need is 1 pound of moose meat, 1 pound of lean ground pork, Hunt's tomato juice, Hunt's thick and rich pasta sauce, 2 cups of rice, 1 tablespoon of margarine, 2 cups of water, a splash of oil, black pepper, garlic powder, Montreal steak spice, Montreal pepper medley, 1 head of cabbage, 1 cup of diced onion, and some Frank's Red Hot. I've started my moose meat and my pork in the frying pan. I'm going to cook these until golden brown. You don't want to overcook them because you'll actually dry the meat right out. That's what the nice combination with the pork and moose. A lot of times moose meat doesn't have enough fat in it, so it dries right out really quickly. The pork will actually stop that. So what we're going to do, we got our rice in the pot already. We're going to bring that to a boil. We got the moose meat and pork in the frying pan this time, and our head of cabbage in the back. We want to steam that head of cabbage just enough so that I can peel the leaves off it. So we'll check it out now, see how that's looking. It's going to be a few more minutes on the cabbage. While we're waiting on the cabbage, we're going to add a little bit of spices today. I really suggest doing the garlic powder. Garlic salt's real hard on the heart, where garlic powder isn't. A little bit of black pepper. It adds a lot of flavor. Just don't overdo it. It's actually really spicy. It's really spicy if using too much. Montreal steak spice and Montreal steak medley, actually pepper medley, add amazing flavors. Just once again, you got to watch how much you're using. So what we're going to do pretty well is we're using basically a tablespoon in your hand is what you're looking at. So you throw that in right away. The pepper medley, the pepper medley, you can add a little bit more. There's not a lot of salts in it, so it's a little bit extra flavor in there. Garlic, my saying is you can never go wrong with garlic. So we'll add just about a tablespoon and a half. If you look at the palm of your hand, typically the palm of your hand is about a tablespoon. So we'll add that in. And black pepper, as I was saying earlier, it gets really, really strong if there's too much being used. So we'll do about a half a tablespoon on that. We'll add that into our mixture also. Now we got a good fry going on here. You can smell the meat starting to cook. If you find it sticking in your pan, don't be shy, add a little bit more oil. Just don't overdo it. Too much oil will make it really greasy and it won't stick properly. Once the rice comes to a hard boil, what you're going to do is you're going to actually take it, turn it down just a little bit, and now you're going to wash another spoon. So you're going to turn it down so it's actually at a simmer, not a boil. We're going to grab the lid, throw the lid on it. That'll take about 15 minutes. That'll take about 15 minutes to cook. Make sure to consistently stir your hamburger and your pork so you don't burn it. We'll We'll check on that cabbage now. That should be almost ready to take out and start to peel down. Very hot on the fingers, watch yourself. So what you're going to look for is you want to take this outer layer of cabbage right off. We're actually going to not throw it away, we're going to use it later. So we'll take the first few layers off, start peeling it down. We're going to try and get into the nice juicy centers of it. These we're going to use to cover the cabbage rolls once they go into the oven itself. If you find that it's getting tougher and tougher to peel, you may want to throw it back into the pot for a few minutes. But it shouldn't be too bad. This one's peeling really nice. It was only in it wasn't boiling water. I boiled the water, I shut it off. So this should be in there for about 5 to 10 minutes. As you can see, it's starting to come apart really, really nice. If it gets too difficult, all you gotta do is slam it back in that pot for a few minutes. A lot of cooking has to do with your nose. So if you can smell the aroma and it smells good, chances are it's going to taste good. We're going to cover that cabbage back up. I've got a nice layer of leaves that I'll actually use to cover everything in a little bit. This hamburger should be about another 5 to 7 minutes, and we should be cooked through with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a short break here. I'm going to continue the cooking. I'll come back and show you how to do the proper mixture in just a few minutes. What you're going to try and do is get right down to the most tender parts of your cabbage, which is always the inside. We do use the outside leaves, but the inside leaves are just so much more delicate. They're easy to work through. When you get down to this small, a lot of times I'll reboil. Just makes a lot of sense. Keep boiling it down. Makes it a little bit easier on you. At this point, I've already shut off my hamburger. My rice is at a standstill. It's going to be a few more minutes between me getting the cabbage ready and doing the mixture. So what I'm going to do at this point is I'm actually going to fry my onions. Don't want to overcook your onions. Just fry them to a point that they're good enough. They're al dente still. You don't want to bring them down to a golden brown. You're caramelizing them at that point, and with this mixture, it's something you really don't want to do. So take a little bit more margarine here, throw it in the pan. We'll brown these onions, and I'll be right back with you. The onions aren't all the way cooked straight through. They're still al dente. They're not translucent, meaning that there's still time for them to cook. You want to get the flavor into the meat, into the rice, but you don't want to get it overcooked where the caramelization offers it to be too sweet. So I'm going to throw this right into our mixing bowl today. You only use 1 cup because you don't want to overpower everything with an onion. Our rice is done, so we'll add our rice right into the same mixing pot. First time I cooked rice and it actually turned out. Make sure that all the grease that we can get out of here is out. You may lose a little bit of your seasoning, but it's well worth it in the end. You can always re-season it. You'll smell it in a few minutes and see how it smells. So we'll add this into the mixture. And this is where you add my good old friend Frank's. Now, depending on your taste buds, it depends on how much you're going to add. But as the saying goes, I put that on everything. So get this all mixed up, nice in here. We'll start rolling out and laying out in a moment or two. I'll be right back with you after this is all mixed up. I'll get the pans ready and show you how to properly lay them out within your pan. As you can see, our mixture is now done. I've smelt it. It smells amazing. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to start with our cabbage. If you find that you've got a really thick vein that comes through here, I typically take a fillet knife and I'll just skim off the surface of it like you were filleting a fish. What that'll do is it's not going to be so meaty at that point on the cabbage when you're trying to roll it, when you're trying to eat it. Like I said, this is the first time I've done cabbage rolls before, but just from working with other food in the past. I like to make big, thick cabbage rolls. Well, that's how I like to eat them, so I'm guessing that's how I like to make them. So we'll throw a scoop in, you're going to roll it over, and tuck it in upon itself. You'll take a toothpick at that point, skewer through it, make sure to leave the toothpick exposed. We're going to place it right directly into our pan, and we'll continue on to the next. If you overpack them, don't worry, you can always pull some out. So we'll do a nice little roll here, demonstrate it one more time, grab it, skewer it, and back into the pan. I'll be right back with you. With my cabbage rolls complete and tied up, what we're going to do is we're going to add the tomato juice to them. And you're going to fill the pan up and try to submerge them in the tomato juice itself. So we'll add as much as we can without going overboard and spilling it all or boiling it all over the oven. Now what we'll do later is we'll add the thick and chunky. Once this boils down a little bit, or sorry, the thick and rich, once it boils down a little bit. A lot of people like to cover their cabbage rolls with tin foil, but a good friend suggested that I actually do it with the cabbage leaves themselves. What that'll do is it'll actually put more flavor back into the pot, or back into the pan, and it's better than throwing it out. So we're going to cover this all up nice. I preset the oven to 350. Should take about 2 hours. Once it's cooked, I'll be back with you, and we'll do the taste test and see how Marisa and Christina done. So thanks again for watching. I'll be right back with you. Well, time's up. Let's see how the Moosewa moose and pork cabbage rolls turned out. They look really good. Now if you're going to serve this platter right on the actual table itself, what you probably want to do is add some parsley to it. What that's going to do is just going to color it up a little bit, just for your guests. It's not necessary, there's no real heavy flavor to parsley, but it's just something else to try. Gives it a little better nostalgic look if you'd have it. One last view before we dig in. The real taste test will come tomorrow when we have some clients in, and we'll see what they think. They look excellent. Once again, a special thanks goes out to Christina and Marisa for passing on this recipe. If you'd like to challenge me, Don Robert at Moosewa, find us on Facebook, like our page, and send me your recipe. If your recipe's picked, I'll challenge you. Now let's dig in. Whew. It's hot. Ladies, if that's all it takes to cook a good cabbage roll, you're in for a run for your money. Once again, check us out online at www.moosewa.ca. I can't walk away with that. We'll have one more bite.